curious mind of Raquel Coulter. I am your favorite mermaid mystic and medium. So today's video is going to be about a beautiful, gentle, I thought that we could use this, you know, my darlings, beautiful, gentle message based on my cabinet cards that I have pulled from Lark to Candleford, which is all of these cabinet cards, and I've placed beautiful little messages on them. They're basically lines from the series, all 4 seasons, and I thought that the ones that came out, put them on the cards. And then we're going to see what Spirit comes through and wants us to know today for this week. I think it would be very, very proper. And so I pulled these 3. I previously pulled these 3 cards. And the first one says, let's see what the first one says. You're buttoned up. And we know that this comes from, if you've not watched it, you should watch it on the BritBox. And it's speaking about when Fisher Bloom comes to town and he meets Laura, which is originally from Lark. And he says, you're buttoned up. And he's not meaning that physically, you know, that she's buttoned her blouse or her dress or anything. He means that emotionally. She's very, very proper and emotionally restrained. And so he's saying, you know, in a kind of jovial manner to, you know, basically like she needs to loosen up. She's too proper, too well intended with her feelings and holding them in, and like emotional restraint. And so what I feel as though Spirit is trying to say to us is that it's okay and it's lovely and wonderful and graceful and appropriate to be proper and to be reserved to a degree. However, I do believe that we should not be so buttoned up that we don't express our true authentic selves. And I think so often people do that, especially women, where we feel very inclined to always, you know, have that sense of protocol and not be ourselves, not be the women that we are, and expressing that. Now, I do believe that there is a way that can be done beautifully. And so I think that also what's coming through is that too often Laura heard that from Fisher. She was very much, she thought in a sense that was what it was, because if you watch the series, she comes out and she has her hair all down and she's unbuttoned her blouse to her dress and everything. And he's like, that's not what I was talking about. I'm talking about the fact that you think that you're all this. You think that you're above and you're sort of like has this sense of properness about her, but she's more like almost as if she's better than other people. And he was just letting her know, you're not so great, you know, you need to not be so thinking you're so much above other people, is basically the kind of the notion that I received from it. So okay, let's see what the next one is. The next one is, you can't fox an old fox. Now, this is when husband, Twister says, you know, you can't outfox an old fox, meaning that when they were talking about the girls and everything, it was basically Twister telling Orlis, right? Is it Orlis? I'm trying to think. Orlis is his last name. What's his first name? I can't remember exactly. Oh my God, that's terrible. And anyway, Twister was telling his little bits about how you can't outfox a fox, meaning I think that that's a beautiful notion of understanding that. Remember, because I think that in this day and time, what Spirit's so what's coming through now is Spirit saying that if you've been around for a certain amount of time, you are very good at being able to outwit and outsmart certain people because you've been around a long time. And this is something beautiful that we should cling to, because how often do we start to, as women especially, second guess ourselves or think that maybe I don't know if that's true or correct, or if this person is doing that or not. And women start to second guess themselves and their true nature. And oftentimes it's because we've so long been in this stagnation to where we've not listened to our inner being, our mermaid inner being. And so I think what Spirit's saying is, you know what, it's time to reignite that sense of remembering. We've been here a certain amount of time. We are sort of old, beautiful foxes. And so we need to remember that you can't outsmart us. People might think that they can, but as long as we are falling into the notion of remembering and allowing that to purge and resurface, that we can't be manipulated or tricked, because a fox is a trickster, right? And so as long as we remember who we are, and that we have a great sense of inner being, and that it will never lead us astray as long as we're continually listening to it, we can't be tricked by the tricksters. Tricksters meaning all sorts of people. It could be tricksters in your family, so just remember that we're not going to follow the crowd. We're going to create our own path. Okay, so let's see what the last one is. It is you stopped the town clock. Okay, so this is when Daniel stops the town clock, and he does it because he wants to see. He sort of was setting Laura up to see if she would go to the clock, knowing that probably Fisher would be there. And so when he stopped the town clock, Laura assumed that it was Fisher that did it. Fisher assumed that it was Laura that did it. They both meet in the town clock. Come to find out, Daniel realizes and watched Laura and Fisher go to the town clock. And so they were in the town clock together. And then that caused him to be very, very upset, because his true knowing within caused it to happen. And his true knowing was recognized because it actually happened the way that he thought and was assuming that she still had these feelings for Fisher. But unknowingly to Daniel, she realized it straight away at the proper time, that Fisher was not the person for her. But for a moment there, Daniel was very insecure. So what Spirit's saying to me is that oftentimes we will be triggered by things from our past, okay? That does not mean that because we're triggered, like say for example, we've been doing really, really well on a particular thing. Maybe we're manifesting something, maybe you're manifesting to trust your spouse or something like that. And then you have this thought or this thing comes over you and you're thinking, oh my goodness, maybe they're doing something that's causing me distrust behind my back or something, and then you have that thought. That doesn't mean that that's necessarily your inner being telling you that. It could be very well your nervous system that's still trying to purge it, because you're healing and you're moving through that, changing your belief system, as one of my clients were doing. And so she was thinking that these feelings were arising because she was onto something, which wasn't the case. It was simply the purging of having this new belief system, and it was causing her to be a bit fragile. And she was thinking, oh my goodness, maybe that's what's happening and that's my gut telling me. No, oftentimes it's your nervous system trying to push through the requirements for you to become this newest, greatest version of yourself. But oftentimes we will think, oh my goodness, this is my gut telling me something's wrong, or he's doing something or whatever. And it wasn't. That's not exactly what was happening. It was just simply her being reminded, you know what? Okay, this is happening to me. These little thoughts are coming up, but that is just me purging them so that I can become the destined person that I know I'm meant to be. And so I think that it's important to remember that, especially when you're doing the subliminals that I've been sending out to each of you for free. If you would like them, just let me know. Email me at raquel@raquelcarter.com, and I will pop them over to you. And so just remember that there's so many things that are going to happen, and you're going to feel a little disheveled. You know, there's going to be moments that you're going to feel a bit disheveled because you think maybe the subliminals aren't working, or, you know, it's taking too long, or you're a little disgruntled because you're irritable. These are all natural things. So I want to constantly remind you. So I know I constantly tell you all these things all the time on video, because it's very important to reiterate, because sometimes people aren't seeing the videos. You know, you might be new to the channel, or you just need to be reminded. Oftentimes we just need that constant reminder, especially it's sort of like, you know, when you're first starting something new and you're not quite sure exactly how it's supposed to be going. You need that little nudge, that little reassurance, that little nurturing to get you through those particular moments and circumstances, and that's perfectly fine. That's what I'm here for. And so I hope that you enjoyed these messages. I thought they were quite lovely, you know, and I'm thinking about going live tomorrow. You let me know in the comments if you would like to see me go live tomorrow, and what we could discuss. You know, it might be rather fun to talk about the, you know, Christmas time or whatnot, you know, just whatever you feel. I want you to feel as though you can come to my shoreline and you can feel a sense of calmness and gentleness, and it's sort of a reprieve for the hush, you know, in the world of storms and, you know, all kinds of negativity and everything. I want this to be a safe shoreline for you, a safe place to land, and a soft place to land as well, you know, my darlings. And so anyway, I hope that you are having a lovely week and preparing for Christmas and getting all excited. And I hope to see you again rather soon. And as always, I'm most affably yours until my next swim. Cheers, darlings. Toodle pip.